Hello one and all, and welcome back to another RWBY discussion. I am your only mate, and with me as always is...
The Max a few trades, and might I say, you've gotten significantly better at doing these intros.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I learned by watching you. Well, listening to you, I never actually... You know what I mean.
I know what you meant, and today we're talking about Volume 8, Episode 6, Midnight. And I gotta just very quickly say, before we even get into anything, the description of this video, this episode, is so bizarrely ominous.
Yeah, I just noticed that as well. It's time.
That's literally it. Like, usually they give a more general idea of what to expect from an episode, but they're like, nah, you gotta watch it.
You know, if you saw this before you watched the episode, what would you have thought?
I would have expected something that everyone, I guess, was expecting. Like a really super duper big event. And I suppose technically that happened, but it really felt more like an extension of something that was already happening. But I think I understand what it was supposed to mean. I mean, it goes into the whole symbolism of everything. We'll get into it.
Yeah. Anyway, do we have anything unrelated to say before we start?
I have absolutely no earthly clue.
All right, then.
Yeah, so we're going to start watching an episode of RWBY here. And there's some lady, and she is cleaning. When did we last see a lady cleaning?
The very first episode, when it cut to Cinder scratching in the same rhythm.
Exactly.
So,
and very few people actually knew it was her.
Yeah, like, I got it right as it transitioned to present when I was watching.
No, I had to wait until someone in the comments told me, because sometimes I'm just stupid. Because it was blatantly obvious once I did hear that.
Yeah, I remember seeing someone on Twitter just being like, you know what, I only just got the Cinderella connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there's a bunch
and I'm
of
just
comments.
like, really? It took you that
like
long?
Okay, I want to point out one thing. I always, since day one when we learned her name, I realized that she was meant to be a playoff Cinderella. I got that much. And it was like, well, she can kind of make glass as her powers, like like the slipper. Okay, sure, whatever. So I figured that was basically the extent of it. As it turns out, boy howdy, is Cinder's backstory a little bit similar.
Actually, you know what?
You
know what's funny? Mm-hmm. Originally, I think I only got it like, I want to say volume 2 or 3.
That's fair. I mean,
and I was just like, wait, really? I mean, Cinderella. Oh, and her heels are made of glass too.
Nah, that's basically it. And I kind of figured that would have been the beginning and end, because when you get right down to it, like fundamentally, how similar to Little Red Riding Hood is RWBY? Really?
She wears a red hood.
Exactly. Weiss and Snow White? Color scheme, sorta.
I mean, we haven't seen Weiss eat apples or hang around very tiny men, although then again, Klein is all the 7 dwarves.
Yeah, but he wasn't all that short. They were roughly the same height.
Yeah.
And I mean, just because we saw Yang punch a bear once doesn't make her Goldilocks. That's all I'm saying.
We also haven't seen her eat porridge.
That's true. And I think that might be the greatest sin of all.
Could you imagine, like, I don't know, we get to Vacuo, all they have for food is porridge, and Yang's just, like, going to town on it while everyone else is like, really? This is it?
Porridge and apples.
Actually, there was a thing in one of the anthology mangas. Weiss was trying to teach the rest of Team RWBY how to properly eat an apple.
Okay, well, respect where respect is due, but aren't those basically little more than officially sanctioned fan fiction?
They're canon unless they contradict the show.
I dispute that. Anyway, Cinder is definitely cleaning the hell out of that floorboard, and if you pay close enough attention, you'll notice she's crying.
Yeah.
Turns out Cinder's life was kind of a big pile of butts.
It gets even worse, because she gets...
Well, I mean, hang on. Basically, she's at I mean, I want to call it an orphanage, but I don't even know if you could call it that because it looks more like just sort of a rundown barn where people live. And for whatever reason, I can't say I honestly know, apparently Cinder is the resident person everyone hates. That's typically, that's pretty typical in in any story that involves an orphanage. Just like, hey, I mean, I know we're all orphans here, but you specifically, screw you, I guess. And she's getting into fights and she's screaming and freaking out and she's doing everything she can. But then good news, she gets adopted.
Well, you jumped real ahead because I was going to point something out I thought was funny.
Oh, go right ahead, please do.
So when she gets thrown into the tree, and then it shows that, I forget what they're called, the things on top of barns with
Weathervane.
Yeah, Weathervane. It's got the rooster from the Rooster Teeth logo.
Oh, son, you no, hang on. There's no way in hell that I could have ever conceivably missed something like that. That is the most... God damn, that is so insanely obvious. How did I not notice? Okay.
To be fair, I didn't notice until someone on Twitter pointed it out.
I mean, god damn. Honestly, if they didn't, I would have been disappointed.
And you know what? You could also say the rooster is watching Cinder get her teeth smacked in.
That feels like a bit of a stretch, but I respect your spirit.
I try.
Yeah, anyway, Cinder got adopted. You can't really see my fingers do the air quotes thing, but trust me, they're doing them. Because it really more seems like she gets taken in by someone who owns a hotel.
I will say, fancy hotel, but I see a sign that says that they don't serve foreigners, so I'm immediately... I'm immediately taking to Yelp, or whatever it is in the RWBY universe, and leaving a 1 or 0 star review.
It's like, gonna have to give this 0 stars. Turns out, person that owns it, big time racist. Go figure. And, well, it's weird. I was about to say, but racism is only... Yeah, I guess I could have said racism is really only one of the major problems with this lady.
Oh boy.
Who goes to an orphanage specifically for no other reason than to basically get a slave?
This is gonna sound really dark, but I'm not even sure if I can say it.
Is this something that actually happens to your knowledge? I mean, I guess it stands to reason that it probably would on occasion, but I don't like to think it.
No, I was just gonna quote Unusual Suspect again.
Yeah, go for it.
Alright, do you remember that scene in Spider-Man 2 where there's that kid helping Aunt May, like, move out of the house?
I'm familiar.
And she says she's paying the kid $5.
Okay.
And Suspect's response to that is, $5? That's like £3. Child labor is the future, people. They're gullible and work cheap.
Oof, that is dark.
So I don't know, maybe she watched that review and thought, he might be onto something.
Yes, this alternate universe British person reviewing a movie not in my universe is definitely onto something. Anyway, so Cinder's got this basically the whole 9 yards when it comes to this Cinderella type motif. She's got the evil stepma, she's got 2 evil stepsisters, and you better believe they are unnecessarily cruel and sassy, and not in the good way.
Oh, and speaking of, I've been meaning to throw this out there in some form. Remember all those theories that Cinder is like a bastard child of either Jacques or I think I saw someone say maybe Summer as well.
Okay, I'm just throwing this out here. I've heard so many people being the illegitimate child of Jacques that it is lost all meaning.
Yeah, first Adam, then Cinder. It's like...
That ain't even all of them. We don't got time to go into that. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah. Well, this episode kind of proves them wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Shout out to the person in the comments section who thought these 2 stepsisters were the Malachite twins for some reason. Every time I go into the comments, every time I go into the comments, I find this one. It's never the same person, as far as I know, but every time I find at least one comment that makes me go, I don't know how you even came to this conclusion.
Oh, God. I want to look for that comment now.
It's probably super duper buried at this point, but like, because I saw it back when it first premiered, and it's almost been an entire week.
All
but
right, I'm not gonna bother looking then.
Yeah, no, but it's somewhere in there, and like, man, I could write a book about all the reasons why that's not true. And one of the biggest ones comes later, but we'll get there when we get there.
Dude, we can make a book series out of things we see in comments.
Indeed. Anyway, so Cinder goes from basically being in an extraordinarily terrible life situation to somehow kind of an even worse one. Actually, no, not kind of. It's definitely worse.
And God, I just feel bad for her, like, when all she wants is just some food.
She just wanted some food, and she ate that floor bread, man. Let me tell you.
Ugh.
And this
woman just being like, that floor looks filthy after she threw it on there.
I know, right? What the hell? So, Cinder just kind of very, very carefully and casually just kind of lives her life as everybody and everyone around her pretty much just continues to make it even worse. For literally no reason, actually. It's purely out of spite.
Okay. So, when she, puts on the, I guess, uniform and everything.
Whatever you want to call it.
And she takes some food to this dude.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say something. I have a bone to pick with this guy.
Is this the mythical background character that you have something against?
Yes.
Okay, I did not expect that one. Before this whole thing started, he told me that there was a background character in this episode that he had something to say about, and I was like, I want to know. Okay, didn't call him. You explain. Go for it.
Okay, so as a guy who at least worked in a retail place, one of the things that was very important in that job was good customer service, make sure you're smiling, like, all that general stuff. And look at Cinder as the dude opens the door.
She's doing what she has to do.
Yeah, like, she's greeting him with a smile, has his food, like, on the tray, everything looks nice. Like, I commend Cinder here. She's doing a good job. And what does this dude do?
He just yoinks it and slams the door in her face.
Yeah!
That ain't right, man.
Doesn't even say thank you.
Not even a thank you.
Screw you, dude. Choke on something.
Whatever the hell it is that you were given, I can't tell. And now I step in to comment on something that literally nobody else is going to comment on in this entire episode, but I feel the need to point out.
Before you do that, though, can I just say, if you don't say thank you to people in, like, retail or, like, stuff of any general nature that do this kind of stuff, go screw yourself.
My man has gone through some stuff, okay?
I have. I've seen
kind
things.
Be kind to my British friend. I can't restrain him any longer. He's grown too powerful.
Or just any kind of, like, stuff that just serve the general public. Like, say thank you. And
just be a good person, damn it.
Yeah.
It's not hard. So anyway, I want to talk about toilets.
Okay, not what I was expecting.
That was the entire point. Okay, so immediately after that little scene, you get to see Cinder unclogging a toilet, right?
Well, I mean, first we see her decorating a cake, try to take a strawberry, then...
But then the stepsisters slap her hand, and then they dance around with it, and then they steal the strawberry, because they are evil, as we have established.
Oh, and then it cuts to... basically Cinder just eating someone else's scraps.
Yeah, that's pretty much... I imagine that's where the bulk of her food comes from, because as we've established, she's in a pretty bad place. And I guess we would be remiss to point out...
Really
we do. Yeah, we really need to bring up the point that we're actually currently in a montage with a original song, basically about how absolutely terrible Cinder's life is.
And if there's anything this episode made me do, it's feel bad for Cinder.
For a while. We'll get to it. Anyway, so she's unclogging that there toilet. You see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I got some things to say about this toilet. I got a couple things to say. First of all, that is a wonky looking toilet. I'm just gonna throw this out here. Not rendered the best. Pretty dang lumpy. I ain't never seen a toilet that looked like that from the bottom. That's just my personal opinion. But that's not the biggest problem. It's only there for a few seconds, so whatever. But at the same time, look at the perspective of this particular toilet. It's not up against the wall. It's at like an angle. This toilet is at an angle, possibly in the middle of a room.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
This don't look like no bathroom I've ever been to. I've seen a lot of high-scale bathrooms, and even in hotels, and I don't see no stalls. I don't see no doors. It looks like they took the model of the toilet and put it in the hallway model of the room they had. And I'm only pointing this out because 99.9% of the time, this show blows me away with everything that the animators do, and they obviously just took a small shortcut for something literally nobody else on the entirety of the planet is ever going to notice. Mm-hmm. And it makes me look like a butt, and I thought that would be funny.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really notice.
Exactly! Nobody did. I guarantee you nobody did. I wouldn't have if I didn't happen to pause as you went on your food service rant.
Ah, right.
That's the only reason. Anyway, weird toilets aside, Cinder's just living her life in absolute horror and awful squalor. Also, this is basically oh, never mind. We actually see some dude notices, and he's like, whoa, that don't seem right.
Apparently the only person to ever do that.
Care at all? Like, literally nobody else in this entire hotel ever seems to notice Cinder is suffering horribly. Because let's be real, these the people controlling her are not subtle about this.
No, they're not. And when we say controlling, oh boy. But then as she's cleaning the carpet, and I assume this has been taking her quite some time, her jackass stepsisters come in covered in mud and just purposely like walk all over it. And oh, okay, I thought I noticed a little hiccup there, but no, it's cool.
It's all good.
Yeah. And I'm just like, screw these girls.
Yeah, no, they're pretty much the absolute worst. Also, shout out to the throwing arm on Cinder for somehow managing to create a smoke bomb out of that brush.
I mean, fair play to her, yeah.
That was pretty friggin' baller. And so you'd think...
The only thing missing from that was her going, ninja vanish.
Exactly. Also, at the... I'm trying to think. I have like a large amount of things I want to say. First and foremost, I know. Don't you be giggling at my stumbles.
No, I paused at the perfect moment.
Did you pause on the slack-jawed face guy?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he needs to be the picture, because he doesn't, but you do need to show people this guy's face.
Oh, I do, because it's funny. He's just like, duh.
He is the most face I think I've ever seen in my life, and that is one of the things I wanted to bring up. The other thing was, Cinder didn't even look at them in abject horror and go, dude. RWBY. I remember it happening.
You know, I just noticed, like, the Shackdoor dude, he kind of looks like Connie from Attack on Titan.
That he does. I don't know much about Attack on Titan, but I know enough to know who that character you're talking about is.
Yeah, he's kind of dumb.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's
His
whole shtick.
Yeah, and guy who noticed that Cinder was suffering notices she's suffering for a second time. Wonder if that plays into anything. No time for that, though. Cinder's being electrocuted.
And it's at this point, I gotta say, we interrupt this episode of RWBY to bring you the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. Only this time, instead of being a dude in his 40s and surrounded by a bunch of people that are actually quite horrified, Broly will be a 10-year-old girl who's surrounded by adopted family who are just laughing when the electric collar is going off.
Yeah, so equally messed up in its execution, but still somehow worst regardless, because my goodness.
Oh, I get all kinds of uncomfortable watching that.
Well, yeah, no, because look, I don't know. We see them in media so often that you kind of become desensitized to them sometimes. But seriously, guys, shock collars are not a joke at all.
Nah.
Like, electrocution gets played off as comedic far too often in my eyes. It's bad. It's really, really bad.
I will say, the best electrocution in media I've ever seen is Marv in Home Alone 2.
When he turns into a skeleton?
And everything leading up to it, the screaming and everything. Like,
fair enough. I
can't help but laugh at that.
Yeah. So, shout out to something that we definitely need to bring up, and that would be that basically Cinder has to say the exact thing to her stepmother that she does to Salem.
Yeah, and that's all manner of disturbing.
Yeah, so parallels. Also, Cinder has decided a life for a crime she shall have because she has yoinked yon sword that she was seen eyeing earlier. But unfortunately for she is not very sneaky.
Therefore, more evidence that she is not Weiss's half-sister.
We really didn't need more evidence of that. We really didn't.
I know, I'm just throwing it out there. Like,
okay,
yeah,
well.
She ain't sneaky.
She ain't sneaky. That's true. That's an innate trait. I choose to believe. So, as it turns out, Guy, who noticed she was suffering several times, has accosted her. And her immediate idea for, oh no, I'm under attack, what do I do?
Just
is
throw
the sword. I'm just going to throw this out here. Under very rare circumstances, is throwing your weapon ever a good idea?
Yeah.
But then he tosses them down. Turns out, he is a friendly.
Yeah, but Cinder picks up his mace and still tries to attack.
Yeah, but that don't work because this man's got crazy semblance.
Yeah, he's practically got armament hockey.
That's basically what it is. Like, no joke. For those who don't know anything about One Piece, he can basically turn his skin into, like, at the very least, iron. What you giggling at?
Oh, because I know something absolutely hilarious about this dude.
What's that?
Okay, so he can turn his skin into iron-like armor.
Yeah.
He has a whole lot of weapons, like, you know, the maces are also guns and the swords.
That's true, because everything in RWBY is.
And his name is Rhodes.
You think that was intentional?
I hope it was.
I mean, admittedly an interesting choice for inspiration in any regard, but... you might be onto something with that.
I mean, if this is the case,
anyway,
I hope we get more one-off characters that are basically the Avengers.
I mean, that would be pretty funny. Hopefully everything ends up better for them, for those theoretical characters than it does Rhodes, but we'll get to that.
I mean, you could argue maybe Puro is Captain America, because of the way she throws the shield.
That's true, and she was almost turned into a super soldier.
Yeah.
And Nora is basically Thor.
Okay.
I'm not saying this is all coming together, but it is.
Okay, we just need... You know what? We need Weiss to summon her knight, but on herself. So
then
she gets the armor.
No, then she becomes Iron Man. Dude, I'm still waiting for that. Come on, writers. It's too goddamn cool. Have her wear the armor. It would be so cool.
That'd be so badass.
It really would. But I digress. Rhodes is here, and he's like, hey, I notice your life is actually the worst.
Wait, one last thing I'll say. Seriously, yes? Writers, if you don't do that, I'm stealing the idea for a what if.
Yeah, but no, please do, because that is just too damn cool.
Oh, I know where to implement it in one.
I'm already excited for that possibility. So, Rhodes has decided that he actually wants to help Cinder. His methods are a little interesting, but ultimately he's like, hey, so you want to be a huntress? Well, then it's a good thing I can teach you to do that. And power to this random guy who sees this one random girl who's suffering horribly and chooses to dedicate legit... I mean, he has to come and go, obviously, but he still comes back for years to train her in secret.
Like, Man, despite
Not
us
one
not
stranger's
getting
gonna do that.
Yeah, we don't get a whole lot of him, but man, this guy's awesome.
Okay. This guy's unreasonably awesome. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, he lets Cinder have the sword, and he starts teaching her how to do the combat.
Mm.
And I'm sure that won't blow back in anybody's faces at all.
Also, I love Cinder's smile when he comes back.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nice to see her not be the worst. But we get a long running montage of basically he trains her, he leaves, he comes back, Cinder's a little older, lather, rinse, repeat as she progressively starts getting, better and better at this. Very, very interesting that you think this is like a really popular and well-known hotel or something?
I don't know.
I'm just curious because it looked like everyone when he came back knew who he was. But yeah, he teaches her all manner of thing, and it's pretty good. But of course, interspersed is the fact that years go by, Cinder continues to do all of the cleaning stuff that she is ordered to do, and yet no matter what, she is still constantly being electrocuted.
Because her stepmother is the worst.
Very much, very much. And then Cinder walks into the room, and then somehow, I don't know, but by some crazy magic, she comes out of the room, and she's clearly like 4 years older.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't know how she did that, but I'm impressed. You'd think she'd use that power more often.
I mean, maybe she had a growth spurt, upon walking into that room.
I mean, stranger things have happened.
Just walks into the room. Oh, I'm taller now. All right.
We're not stupid. Obviously, it was a time skip, and it was just clever editing. Anyway.
Yeah, we're just playing it off as a laugh.
We're having some funs. Anyway.
It's what we do.
He gives her a sword, and it's actually very sweet until,
Until
later.
the bad stuff happens.
Yeah, and, well, speaking of the bad stuff.
The two stepsisters warn their mother that Cinder has a weapon and I've just noticed one of them has a smirk on her face the whole time.
Yeah, I did.
It's just like, oh, we're about to get her in trouble.
And I'm sure literally nothing bad is going to happen as a result. And so then Rhodes comes back, and I'm going to be 100% honest, it's a little strange how literally nobody else is in the building.
Yeah, not even other guests.
Yeah, so that would imply that maybe the place was closed, but then how did he get in?
Also, have you noticed...
it's all for the sake of drama, but yeah.
Have you noticed when he comes back this time, he has a scar on his face?
Yes, he does. So, that's interesting. So, he comes in and notices he hears some pretty strange noises. So he goes to the back room, and what does he see? Well, funny story. Turns out Cinder had enough, and she freaking murdered her sisters.
Okay, so thanks to you, Let's Play in the Danganronpa games, I'm now just picturing when Rhodes walks in and sees the two stepsisters.
Yeah.
That body discovery music plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And the stepmother isn't dead yet, but she is in a chokehold. And despite the fact that she is being electrocuted, Cinder ain't letting up. And this is a really dark thing to notice, but I kind of have to, because if I'm going to bring up the weirdness of the toilet, I need to bring up the dark attention to detail, because it's admirable, as messed up as it is.
You just noticed what I noticed.
Is it the fact that the stepmother's eyes are basically turning red?
And the top of her head is turning a different shade.
Blue? Yeah, as if she, basically the telltale signs of suffocation.
Jesus.
Like, in an incredibly subtle way. It's not even played up or cartoonish in any regard. That's, like, realistically what happens when someone is choked to death.
Man,
that was something.
Props to you, animators.
You very disturbing animators who decided to do that.
And,
but,
what Cinder's doing is incredibly messed up. But I will say, even while being electrocuted, she's not, she's just shrugging it off.
Well, I imagine getting electrocuted. I think the implication, is that, at the very least, after like 5 years minimum of this, she probably built up some sort of resistance to it. And it's also feasible that her training with Rhodes might have involved gaining her aura.
Potentially, yeah.
Which, at the very least, would help that situation, I think.
Still,
anyway,
it makes Cinder look like
murder.
a badass.
Yeah, no, shout out where, credit where credit is due. But then it gets kind of creepy, because after she's murdered all those people, she looks to Rhodes, and she's all like, I don't have to run anymore. And she looks so simultaneously happy, but horrified at what she did at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
It's like she's realized what she did, and like realizes it's a terrible, awful thing she can't undo, but at the same time, she's so happy to have done it that she doesn't care almost. It's weird. I've never seen this mixture of emotions in someone's face before.
Yeah, getting abused like all your life, and then when you finally turn back on your abusers and do this, that'll do that to you.
I suppose. I don't know how that feels. I hope to never have to, and quite personally and honestly, I hope literally nobody ever has to.
Same. Also, God, like Cinder's face when Rhodes is all, you know what, that's all you're ever gonna do, and gets his weapons ready. Like,
yeah.
Look at how it shifts.
Yeah.
Like,
she was happy, but then it's like, oh, dang it. That's the face of somebody whose thought process went, okay, so the odds of him being okay with this aren't going to be very high, but I'm optimistic, and I was right. It was not a good idea.
Oh boy. And then we get... it's admittedly a pretty cool fight between the two.
No, it is. The thing is, though, Rhodes is obviously holding back.
Yeah, it's like... He still cares about Cinder and everything.
Exactly. He definitely spends more time kind of defending himself than really fighting. The firm implication here is it's like, well, you committed a crime. I kind of need to turn you in for that. Unfortunately, she knows how his powers work, and I'm not 100% sure how Cinder's semblance works. Do you?
Well, okay. We know she can make glass, but she also, like,
she has some degree of heat power.
Well, yeah, you need heat to make glass.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, if you have the power, just the power over glass. I don't know.
Let's just say semblances be wackio.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, so see, the thing is, Cinder has two very important advantages. She knows how this dude fights. She knows how he works. He understands how his powers work. And also, the other side was, he doesn't really want to fight her. So she's got a lot of advantages going in on this. And yet, despite that, she still technically loses.
Yeah, because when Rhodes loses his aura, he's like, okay, I can't play around anymore. And just yeets her.
Yeah, and she loses her aura. And technically, yes, Cinder does then murder him. This is the result of purely sympathy and pity, and he didn't want to kill her, and I don't know, maybe he was banking on the idea that maybe she wouldn't have done it. But ultimately, that's still technically a loss for Cinder, because if he wanted her dead, she would have been dead.
Also, like, that last head pat.
So he walks up to her, she shanks him, and credit where credit is due, he takes it rather well. And he tries to comfort her.
Yeah, and Cinder just rips the necklace off, looks to the moon, and has a cry.
Yeah. Also, she has a very noteworthy scar around her neck that she's always managed to cover up until this point, as far as we've known her as a character. I had a sneeze.
There's actually an outfit that doesn't cover that up.
Oh, so you don't think the scar is there anymore?
I mean, if it is, then it could just be
and maybe it faded. Those do happen to scars over time.
Yeah. Plus, we don't know how deep of a scar that is.
That's true. It's not quite like the scar that Cinder very clearly has now.
Yeah. By the way, like, I gotta comment on a little something with Rhodes.
Go right ahead.
Just because I saw a funny fan comic by AG.
Okay.
You know, the gal who did my profile pic.
Yeah.
Okay, so when Rhodes walks in on Cinder with his sword, he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's all, "I'm thinking about committing murder." Like, and is talking about how abused she is all her life and she doesn't know what to do. And Rhodes just thinking to himself, okay, idea 1, I call some kind of child services, have her taken away from here. If it comes to it, even raise her as my own kid and give her an actual home and education. Idea 2, teach her how to use said weapon. I got it! And then it cuts to this moment when he's stabbed. I should have seen this coming.
To an extent. Admittedly, it's possible she just stole the weapon, not for the sake of murdering the people that are abusing her.
But she just thought it was cool.
Yeah, that's the impression I was given at the very least, and then just, the additional years after the fact and the training emboldened her into it. But the way that comic is structured is absolutely amazing. Does Remnant not have child services?
Someone should think about setting that up, if not.
If not, someone establish it.
You know what? Someone on Team RWBY, do it when the story is said and done.
Weiss.
Yes.
Because I'm sorry, I'm contractually obligated. I need to bring her up as often as possible. I know she doesn't even show up in this episode. Do you think I care? I don't.
No, she does.
No, yes. Well, okay, well, not for very long. Anyway, Cinder wakes up. It is now the present times.
Yeah, and Emerald showing a whole manner of concern for Cinder, and she's just like, "Why'd you bring me back here?"
Yeah.
Cinder, where else were you meant to go?
I don't know. I guess go on Delam. Obviously, that wouldn't work.
Ugh.
Anyway, so Emerald does her quote-unquote best, given the circumstances. But then Mercury comes in, and let me tell you something about Mercury.
He's pretty damn great in this scene.
Yeah, no, he's pretty fantastic. I don't like the guy. He's absolutely awful, and he's a terrible person, and every such thing of that general nature. But at the same time, I mean, you gotta give him credit where it's due.
Yeah, just the way he's so smug when he's just like, about that. I got orders from Salem. I'm not taking orders from you anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
and honestly, I appreciate his ability to cut through the bull crap. Is like this is like the 4th time. It's like, dude, Cinder doesn't give a crap about you. And this time he did it in front of her, and Cinder never said that wasn't true.
Oh, that's true.
I can't help but hope that maybe that might help enforce it in Emerald's head a little bit better, maybe.
And possibly lead to her turning good, maybe.
Or at the very least, less evil. I'll take that.
I'm still rooting for that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's basically what's being set up. But,
yeah,
we don't know if the show is going to go full through with it, or if it's going to be like the tragedy angle of not being able to in time. Because, I mean, there have been chances for characters to not do the wrong thing on occasion, and yet they still did. So, who knows?
Yeah. By the way, with this scene, I gotta give massive props to Yuri Lowenthal.
Oh, absolutely. He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the roles I know him most for are Yosuke in Persona 4, Neil in Camp Camp, we forgot to mention that one off camera.
Yeah.
Spider-Man in the PS4 games. And
Ben 10.
Yeah, Ben 10 as well.
Basically, none of those dudes are kind of smug, condescending assholes.
Yeah.
Occasionally cocky and full of themselves, perhaps, but never to this degree.
Yeah, so I gotta give mad props to Yuri's versatility as a voice actor.
And very briefly, I actually do want to bring up, basically, when Mercury announces that, he doesn't work for Cinder anymore, she actually shows like this face of, oh damn.
I lost a subordinate.
At the very minimum, and that's a bit of a bummer. And I can't kill him because I'm pretty sure that would go poorly. And given her track record in fights, it probably would go poorly.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
You know,
I'm not saying Mercury would win. I'm just saying if we're comparing track records.
Though I will say, like, while we're even still talking about Mercury, like, I mentioned this on another podcast as well, but like, considering that this dude doesn't have his semblance,
yeah,
and like how far he's gotten in fights, and like the Vital Festival tournament, he got to the single rounds with no semblance.
And by all accounts, we don't actually know how that fight would have gone down because it's pretty obvious he threw it.
Also, when him and Yang had a rematch, like, I would say they're about even.
Yeah.
But I want to say they're at least on par with each other. Like, say what you will about Mercury. I'll give him credit. Dude's kind of a badass.
Yeah, I don't like him, but I mean, I can't say he's not. And now we cut to Oscar in horrible pain.
Yeah.
He is not looking too good.
What is it with this series and, like, killing redheads and showing child abuse?
I do not know. Should we be concerned?
I guess, but this isn't the first series to do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
anyway, he's having a discussion with Ozpin, basically weighing options and figuring out, the best course of action.
Yeah, because
Oscar basically has the idea of what we could do something from the inside. Turns out Ozpin's also thinking maybe they could do that.
Yeah, although, like, they also talk about how Oz could, like, take over instead of having Oscar endure all the beatings.
Yeah.
But Oscar's, like, powering through it because he knows Hazel's holding back.
Yeah, he'd probably actually murder him if it was Ozpin in control.
Yeah.
And given the following scene. Now, here's the question really quick.
What's that?
Did they actually change? Because it sort of looks like the eyes might have flickered a little, but I'm not 100% sure.
No, they do. Like, you see the eye sparkle.
Okay. I was just wondering if this was part of a grand bamboozlement. Well, there is definitely a degree of bamboozlement, because, I mean, Oscar and Ozpin clearly come to some sort of consensus, and they come up with some kind of plan. And the way they act for the rest of the episode implies that they definitely think they have an idea to do something, Well, at least that's what I'm hoping for.
Also, I gotta say to Oz and Oscar, I don't think Hazel is the one to start with trying to turn them.
No, probably not. But they also kind of have limited options at the moment. He's the only one in the room.
True. I mean, Oz is just a piece of advice. If you see a girl with green hair, maybe work that, or even convince Neo out of spite.
I'm just saying, those are the two weakest pillars to work with. Although, admittedly, for what it's worth, he didn't do a terrible job with Hazel.
Yeah, Hazel actually shows signs like, this might be working.
I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't, but...
Only because Salem walks in the room.
Yes, exactly. So, you gotta give Hazel the tiniest amount of credit, because he's like, man, sure, yeah, obviously, this is less than ideal. I'm not super happy or jazzed about any of this. But at the same time, like, come on, man, Salem is pretty much invincible. So, might as well work out my problems however it is I can make it happen. Not a healthy way of living, but, I can't disagree.
Yeah, and then we get everyone kneeling in front of Salem, and Mercury is in front of the throne just like everybody else, but Emerald and Neo are off to the side.
Yeah, because they're second class.
Yeah, so hey.
Well, if I had to make a random guess, I'm gonna assume that perhaps Mercury has probably, I don't know, sold himself better to Salem than Emerald has. Whereas he's like, okay, no, he's basically doing slightly worse than Hazel, because Hazel at least seems to be aware of the fact that what he's doing is less than great, but sees it as he has no other option. Whereas Mercury is more like, well, I'm a psychopath, so, I mean, why not work for this lady? And I mean, she'll kill me otherwise. Sure, I'll pledge my loyalty to her. Why not? So he's much more willing to go along with it, whereas Emerald is obviously just here for Cinder.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe Salem's just like, you know what, I always wanted a lieutenant who's really good at kicking stuff.
I mean, fair. But yeah, Emerald and Neo are basically nothing in the grand scheme of things. They still have to kneel down, although admittedly, Neo ain't putting her head down. She's definitely, like, scornfully staring. Like, God damn, why am I in this mess?
Yeah, and you know what, when Salem walks over to Tyrion, Emerald's kind of doing the same.
Yeah.
In the background. By the way, I have noticed animation hiccup.
What's that?
Salem's arm clips through her, like, cape.
Oh, it does. Well, these are incredibly mild problems.
Yeah.
Like I've said before, the attention to detail and the incredible amazingness of certain things make up for any potential foibles we might have noticed.
Yeah, so, like, the positives far outweigh the negatives.
And again, people are working from home right now, so...
Yeah, so cut them some slack.
I'm more than willing.
And for all we know, they could notice that and just be like, huh, for the Blu-ray, should we fix that?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, who knows. But anyway, on to something hilarious.
Cinder in pain?
No. Salem, like, pets Tyrion. Like,
that is true.
No, it looks like she's kind of petting him behind the ear like a dog.
Yeah, a little bit, and that's not ill-fitting, considering the Hound.
Oh god, like it's weird, but I can't help but laugh.
So yeah, and I'm sorry. As you're laughing, Cinder is writhing in pain and having flashbacks about all of the electrocution she's gone through, and you're just laughing as I'm watching it.
Sorry, can I just say like one last thing on the Tyrion thing?
Please do.
Like, I know this is unlikely, but I kind of want to see Team 4-Star like put something together where it's like Hazel and Tyrion walking past each other, and they're like, "Oh hey Hazel, oh look it's Tyrion. You want a biscuit? You want a biscuit, boy?" Wait, do you think I'm a dog? Have a biscuit!
He is very dog-like, which is weird, because he is a scorpion. Not much of a scorpion, though, because he has a prosthetic, but, you know, still.
Well, only the tip is prosthetic.
I know, he still has the majority of it. So, Salem has an interesting means of dealing with Cinder, because she did disobey her, and she is aware of that fact. So she obviously inflicts massive and unbearable pain upon her.
Through the Grim Arm.
Through the Grim Arm.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't do. And like I said, she has flashbacks of the electrocutions we saw, stuff to that effect. And, but then Salem is... She's like, okay, fine, you know what, whatever. You know what, maybe I shouldn't be being really mean to you. Maybe I should be trying to help you, maybe. I have my doubts. I'm fully convinced at this point that Salem is completely under the impression that Cinder is a complete and total dud of a hench person, and she's just gonna throw her into a situation where she has no chance of winning.
Also, I gotta give props, like, hey, Salem is a master manipulator.
Oh yeah, no, she's definitely got that going for her. That's... And then Neo is grossed out by the Hound.
Yeah, because it's sniffing her and Emerald.
No, it's mad gross. It's funny because Emerald is scared of it. Neo is just kind of grossed out by it. These weird scenes are actually making me kind of sort of not hate Neo, and I'm not okay with that. I was adamant about my dislike of this character, and her sassing all of these bad guys is making her endearing, and I don't appreciate it.
You know, if she does turn to good out of spite, do you think that would just make you, like, full on like her?
Let's see, okay?
Like,
if it happens, I will see what she does.
Like,
and when all is said and done, I'll give you my answer.
Fair enough. And I'm kind of picturing a scene like, let's say Emerald and Neo do turn good, and they're like meeting with Team RWBY and everything, and they're just like, "So why'd you leave?" Well, I thought Cinder actually cared about me, but it turns out she doesn't. I also saw that she was subjugated to all manner of abuse by Salem. She passed it on to me, and eventually I finally realized
a cycle of abuse. Yeah.
And finally I realized, no, I don't want this, and everything that's going on is kind of messed up. So I want to help you stop it. Okay. Neo, what about you? And she just holds up a sign saying spite.
Yeah. That's actually better than my ideas. Because my brain was just like, she inexplicably is suddenly able to talk and just says, "Look, I'm evil, but what the hell is going on?"
And then Emerald's just like, "So that's what you sound like." And everyone's just like, "Neo, you haven't said a thing since we've known you." Oh, everything's been fine up to this point. Comment below if you get that reference.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But we shall see. Anyway, Salem is sending Cinder on another mission. And I don't know. Personally, I feel like it's an inevitable doomsday mission for her. Well, I feel like Cinder's failed her too often.
I mean, it's to get what?
It is. But at the same time, I don't know. I have my doubts. Oh, my God, though. I completely forgot about the slamming of Oscar back onto the ground.
That is... Ugh.
That is a brutal knock, let me tell you. And yeah, so Salem's got some plans for Ozpin, as it were. And well, that's pretty much all we're getting out of them for now, because now it's time for winter, and the Aesops are a-yellin'.
Yeah, because they don't trust technology, and they're comparing Penny to junk. And
yeah, and
Cinder... Oh, sorry, Winter. Jesus.
Winter. It's okay. They sound very similar.
Plus, we were talking about her a lot.
Plus, I had to work really hard to not get Salem and Cinder's names mixed up, just because they sort of sound... The S and C sound similar. But yeah, Winter actually takes offense and tells them to shut the hell up.
Hey, mad respect for you, Winter.
Though there is good in Winter. I just hope that it comes out before horrible things happen.
Yeah, and then Marrow tells her that, yeah, we got a distress signal, and it's Jean.
It's Jean. So, like, hey, so everything horrible that could be happening is happening, and we desperately need help. So they touch down, and obviously the Aesops are all like, hey, we got your message. What's going on? How can we help? Oh, wait, no, they want to arrest them.
By the way, shout out to Yang for that face.
I know, like, that is the most, are you actually serious right now face I think I've ever seen in my life.
It is amazing. Also, Barbara's line delivery with that, like, it just goes so well.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But
love everything about that.
But yeah, Harriet's all like, so where's Penny? And John is all like, I literally just got done telling you that a gigantic, never-ending army of Grimm is about to attack this place, and that's what you're focusing on right now. And yeah. I guess they didn't believe them, but like, look to the left.
It's right next to you!
It is right freaking there! Your hips are big, but they don't block your eyesight.
It's all her brain power in her hips.
That she keeps her brain in her butt. It's just where she does. It takes a rumbling for her to realize, and boy howdy, is it quite the rumbling.
Yeah, because
even the Grimm noticed the rumble.
Yep. And what does this rumble mean?
The best I can describe it as is are you familiar with Old Faithful?
No.
Old Faithful is a very famous water geyser in America. Imagine that, but it's shooting Grimm and not water.
I was trying to think of some kind of ooze to go with that.
An ooze. I don't know. For some reason, my brain is only coming up with the Ninja Turtle mutagen, but that's not apt.
Now, anytime I hit ooze, my first thought is just Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers.
Thank you! Anyway, so a gigantic ooey gooey blob of horror decides to just kind of splorsh itself all over the dang place, covers up everything, and gigantic horrifying millipedes fly out of the ooze.
And they start burrowing into stuff, and we get a shot of Weiss still watching over Nora while watching in horror as this happens.
Indeed. But I appreciate best girl appearance. Thank you.
And I appreciate my best girl appearance, well, as brief, as she's watching with May and RWBY.
Yeah, and it's pretty bad. And then we get a cut into Ironwood, who suddenly realizes, oh, wait, hang on a second. Maybe everything I've been doing is absolutely idiotic. I'm 100% positive that's not what's going through his head, but it should have.
And then we get, yeah. And then we get an Atlas airship shoot at the Grim, but it only takes out one.
Yeah, they might need to work on the rate of fire of that thing.
Also, where's the rest of the fleet?
I do not know. Perhaps somewhere else. But there's bigger problems because the hard light generators have been knocked off, and now Atlas has nothing.
Yeah, and you know what? I just noticed Salem says it's time.
Yes.
Description drop.
True, but at the exact same time, that wasn't intentional. Midnight and time. I mean, those do hearken to Cinderella.
I know.
I'm just saying, it works. It works on several levels.
I know. I just saw an excuse to say description drop because, you know, no one ever says that.
Yeah. So we end the episode off with Salem parallel parking her whale onto Atlas and vomiting profusely all over the place.
Yeah, and I've seen a whole lot of people call one thing out in particular. A whole bunch of different kind of Grim spawn, and I think we see the dragon thing that we've been seeing recently. We see like a manticore, we see a tiny mammoth Grim. Look to the very right.
I shall, as I'm curious as to what you're talking about. Okay, that's either apathy or a Nukkavy. I think it was apathy.
That's apathy.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, none of this is good, but that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, and I feel like everyone was pretty confident about this from the get-go, Atlas is screwed.
Yeah.
They need to... the girls need to get out of there.
The thing is, though...
They need to grab as many people as they possibly can and leave.
Sad part is we know that they might not do that. Like...
Well, what do you mean?
I don't know, like, yeah, my thought initially jumps, RWBY, Weiss, Blake, get out of there!
Run like hell.
But that'd basically be leaving the people of Atlas.
No, I mean, that wasn't my intention. I meant, that's why I said grab everybody that they can, you know? Obviously, try to rescue as many people as humanly possible, but at the same time, come on. There's a limit to literally anybody in this universe. And I don't think the collective might of every character that we know of that's currently in Atlas, and even, like, Tai Yang and Gera and an army from that aspect, or even Glinda showing up would really make that big of a difference. There's so many Grim.
Yeah, then there's also, like, those characters are not gonna get there in time for this.
I'm just saying. Like, we could have an Avengers level summoning of the everyone, and I'd say, I don't feel confident. And that is a bad sign.
Yeah.
I'm saying if every single good guy that we know over the course of the entire history of this show showed up and were united, I don't know if they would be able to beat this many Grim.
Oh, wait, I just had an idea. Okay, so this would require a lot of quick thinking from everybody's part.
Okay.
Though it would also require us to, you know, free Penny from the hack, like, really quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so free Penny from the hack.
Yes.
While Ironwood and everybody is evacuating Atlas.
Right.
get the shields back up, and essentially ensure the Monstro and everyone in it aren't going anywhere.
Right.
After Atlas is evacuated.
Mm-hmm.
And then send Atlas up.
Right. I mean, unlikely, but that is incredibly. That's actually that's a good plan. I mean, unlikely, but that is good thinking.
I mean, it's probably not going to happen.
No, I don't think so.
Because it also requires Ironwood to, work with the RWBY girls and...
Yeah, it would require a lot of stuff that's not going to happen immediately. Yeah, which is unfortunate. But basically, the way I see it, I feel like the only viable possible way of being able to stop the Grimm is to stop the source, and that would be getting rid of Salem. And I don't think we've reached the part of the story where they're going to be able to do that.
Nah.
I'm just gonna I'm throwing this out here. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm relatively certain that this isn't the final season of the series.
Well, we know Volume 9 is being made.
I'm making a bit.
I know.
Good lord.
Sorry.
See, this is what I have to work with, people. He's just so damn British. My God.
Yeah.
Well,
before anyone comments on that, please keep in mind, I am an idiot.
I was honestly hoping you were gonna say, just keep in mind, I am British. What? I don't think that was ever in doubt. Anyway, I'm hiding I'm laughing to hide the pain. Anyway, I don't want anybody to die, but situation is looking. The pun wasn't intended, but there's really no other way to say it. Grim?
I'm laughing because of the pun.
Yeah, I know. You like puns. I'm trying to help.
Okay, so... Weiss needs to grab her family. Well, just Willow and Whitley. Like, I'm sure Jacques will be okay.
Well, if nothing else, I mean, it's not going to be a priority.
Yeah.
And from Weiss's perspective, some members of her family are completely unprotected. Got to do something about that. Winter has pretty decent odds of being able to take care of herself, and who the hell cares about Jock?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Weiss would save his life if she had to, because Weiss is a good person. But at the same time, I don't know if she'd go out of her way as like, obviously, I gotta go seek him out specifically, that sort of thing.
I'm trying to think of I had this thought as well. Like, do you think Yang and the others might go with the Aesops up to Atlas?
I'm hoping, because put up or shut up time Aesops, bigger problems right now.
Although, if the Aesops aren't up for going up to Atlas, I have an idea on who will want to go up there.
Well, I'm hoping the united front of Winter and Marrow.
Yeah. Like, because let's say the Aesops put up some resistance to letting the good guys come with them to go save Alice, because we gotta find Penny. It's our orders. And Marrow
wind up soldiers.
And Marrow and Winter just like look at each other, nod, and Marrow just goes, "Stay!" And then Winter just yeets them out of the ship.
I mean, that would be fantastic. I feel like, sadly, while Marrow might actually be doing that, I don't know if Winter would actually be playing a role in it. I don't think she's reached that point. I think she's still too loyal to Ironwood to do that.
Unless someone brings up, but what if Weiss is in danger?
That is a very good point. I truly, in my heart of hearts, hope to all hell that Winter loves her sister more than she's loyal to Ironwood.
I hope so too. And well, I mean, Winter let Weiss in on the Winter Maiden thing because why?
Well, no, it's obvious that she trusts her and loves her, obviously. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know, and that's the sad part. I don't actually have an answer. I can't say with certainty one way or the other, and that's really unfortunate.
And speaking of uncertainty, we still have to hear all the screams Aaron recorded.
Yeah, that still hasn't happened yet. Blake has yet to scream.
Yeah, and I'm incredibly, oh, and cry.
Yeah.
Because, I have no idea what that could be, and it's making me rather, not great. Let's say that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely understand. Well, not really much left for us to do other than just kind of speculate on the very likely horrors that are about to be inflicted upon the characters that we know and love.
Yeah, and whatever the cliffhanger this episode is going to be.
Yeah, so I guess we just kind of have to wrap it up. Yeah. Not a lot of optimism to really spin into this situation, if I'm being honest, but we know that they're going to win eventually.
Yeah.
Somehow. I don't know how, but by the end of this series, I know that the main RWBY girls are going to make it out of this okay.
And I have various, hopes for their future afterwards.
Yeah, well, right now I'm just kind of hoping that nobody loses any more limbs.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, pretty much.
And no one loses any more family members.
I mean, that'd be nice too. I mean, I feel like that might be trying to ask for too much. I'm just down for less dismemberment.
Although, if anyone's expendable, I would say Jacques.
I mean, obviously.
But I mean, if Gira and Carly come back, please don't have it be just to kill them off.
Yeah, no, I am gonna have to agree to that one. Anyway, I suppose that's pretty much all there is to say.
Alrighty, well,
hope you enjoyed the podcast thingy. We tried. There was very little to make happy and optimistic about this one.
Yeah, and we might be a little less optimistic next time because, well, depending on what happens, but also because of the hiatus that we're going to be going through.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to end up on, the worst possible cliffhanger imaginable. I already know it.
And then...
somebody is going to, look like they're about to be murdered or something, and we're just going to have to wait months to find out what happened. It's going to happen. I'm calling it now.
Yeah. And then I'll have to be a bit more anxious about another thing.
Yeah.
To do with a certain curse.
I know, buddy. I know.
Please let it break.
Well, I know. We'll see.
Please,
we'll
Broly.
See. I know. You want your angry green man to be happy. I know. Anyway, that's everything there is for now, and we'll see you all very soon for the next one.
Yeah, goodbye, and, well, I don't know, waiting for that, check out some of the other stuff we do. Max's Let's Play Persona 3.
I am.
That's been a long time request.
It has. That's something mildly happy to talk about. Game's depressing in parts, but...
I mean, it's Persona. What do you expect?
Fair enough. Well, goodbye, everyone, and may you find an entire bag of jelly beans.
Bye.